guys, how you doing? It's Rabea. I hope you're all good. So this is going to be a quick video. Basically, I got a call from Lee Anderton the other day, who you all know and love as the captain at Andertons Music Co. in Guildford. And he was like, you used to use the TC MIMIQ doubler, right? I was like, yeah, I use it live for Toska because obviously in a one guitarist band, using a stereo rig, I wanted to try and create like the biggest guitar sound that I could. So aside from obviously using 2 amps and multiple pedals and all the rest of it, I also got interested in the TC MIMIQ, which you should be able to see somewhere on screen now. It's a doubler, so essentially it's got stereo in and out, and it sends like a little sample delay to each amplifier to sort of widen the stereo image. It gives you that double tracked thing with a mono signal, because it's just me playing guitar, doubles it up, turns it into what sounds like a double tracked guitar track, which is really, really useful in a live application. It just gave more chunk, more power, more width to the guitar sound. So anyway, back to the story. Lee called me. He was like, you used to use that, didn't you? I was like, yeah, I still use it every now and again. Obviously, Toska hasn't played for a long time now, so I haven't used it in a while, but yes, it's still on the board, still patched in. He's like, that's really cool. Would you be interested in checking out the TC MIMIQ mini doubler, which is essentially the same pedal. It's not stereo, it's mono, and it's a little mini version. Here it is, as you can see on the close-up camera. It's a little TC MIMIQ mini doubler, and the cool thing here is that Lee was like, this is 29 quid from Andertons. It's really, really cheap. So, you know, it's worth you shouting about on your channel because you use it in your rig. And if anyone's curious and interested and likes the sound of it, then of course it's barely any money, so you can pick one up for yourself and see what you think. So of course I was like, yeah, that's a cool idea, and it's relevant because I do use it live, so I'll show you what it sounds like on the board. So in terms of the effect, as I said, it's a sample delay. In layman's terms, a sample delay is like a really short, fast delay, like one repeat, which essentially gives you could treat it like a slapback kind of thing. You can change the length of the sample of the delay and all the rest of it. You use it to sort of realign mics that are out of phase. In Logic, for example, I might use it for that, to try and line a microphone back up, just having the wet signal on one side, so you're essentially moving that microphone, delaying the sound. It's a nice little tip that I learned off Dave. But as far as I'm aware, that's what sample delay is, just a really short, fast delay that's really useful for certain things. And in this case, it sounds like a double-tracked guitar. Now, I know that was useful for me because if I'm playing a single riff and it sounds, you know, and I want it to sound a bit more chunky live, it's a really nice, useful effect. I would say don't record with it because it does do stuff to the phase. Live, it's less of an issue because, you know, you're watching all this stuff happening at once, listening to it all. If it sounds thick and wide and double track, that's cool. It's not necessarily in phase 100% because you are messing with you are using a sample delay, so you are moving one of those guitar sounds away from its initial place. So you are going to mess with phase. But they've kind of tried to combat that a little bit with the pedal, as you can see. I'll do some close-ups as well. But you've got a dry and a wet control, and then you've got the effect tightness, which moves that sample delay closer or further away from your initial attack to create a looser double-tracked sound or a tighter one. Now, if you've seen the full-size MIMIQ, which is about 89 quid, it's stereo, you have control, you have a little toggle switch which allows you to have between 1, 2 or 3 overdubs, so you can create these big, thicker sort of multi-tracked guitar sounds. Whereas what I like about the simplicity of this is that it's just one, so it just gives you that sort of double-tracked edge. But anyway, in this video I thought I'd show you how it sounds in a simple rig with some distortion, some crunch and stuff like that, so you can hear what the effect does. And if you like it and you think this is something I'd like to try live, since live music's coming back soon, then for 29 quid it seems like a reasonable punt to grab one yourself and see if it works for you. So as you can see, I've got the board set up. I'm going to try not to focus on all the epic pedals that I've been using recently for my sort of ambient stuff. But as you can see, the MIMIQ Mini is down in the little corner there. And we're just going to be focusing on that, really. I am going to be using my Marshall JVM 410 because I got it repaired, got it retubed, got it fixed up, and I'm really happy to have it back in the studio. And I'm also going to be using the Music Man JP15 because I've not had that guitar out in a little while, and I just liked the combination of the two. Just to let you guys know, this is a sponsored video. Andertons did pay me to show you this pedal on my channel, and the purpose of it is to just play through it, show you how it sounds. If you like it, then of course there's a link in the description box to pick it up. Any opinions I have on it are my own, and I'll leave those to the end. Okay, something else just to let you know that the amplifier is running into the So Reactive IR, a load box, which is then going straight into Logic into an instance of a Neural DSP archetype Nolly. and I've switched off all the amp modeling and I'm just using the cab section because it's really nice to have a virtual cab you can mic up like that, and Nolly makes incredible IRs. So we are on the orange crunch stage on the JVM. Let me show you how the guitar sounds without the effect. So you get the idea real quick what the guitar sounds like. Now the easiest way to hear what the effect does is if I was to play something like let me flick it on. Tightness is all the way down, so it should be at its tightest, and the effect is all the way up. Okay, before and with. So for me, I found that the least phasey sort of thing was with the tightness all the way down, so it's at its tightest. And it just kind of, you can quite clearly hear that it's sort of adding that double tracked effect. So now in isolation, you might think, I'm not sure how useful that is, but let me tell you, live, when I've used it with a stereo rig, it's always just when I have it on and off, like you notice suddenly that little bit extra width. The only thing I would say is like for lead and anything that isn't like a riff, it's a little bit almost not really useful. I mean, if you like the way that sounds, that's cool. But I'd prefer to hear a less double-tracked version of lead. Back on. It just sounds a little bit phasey when you use it in that context. So, like I said, for me, this is most useful in like riffs and chordy stuff. So. Next thing I want to do is just quickly mess with the tightness so you can hear how that's affected. At the minute, I've got the dry and the wet all the way up because I always did that with my pedal. I wouldn't necessarily have the effect all the way up on its own, or the dry, because you may as well just turn the pedal off. So having them both on at the same time seems to make sense to me. This is what the tightness knob does. It's probably easiest if I pick like a higher string, so like a B. And you can really hear that sample delay now. It's really, really untight. It's almost like a slap back. Let's turn the effect down a little bit. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely... It's definitely loose. So let's say that I'm playing like a chordy thing. Whatever that is. Now if I go ahead and... suddenly becomes more like a thick wall. That's in extreme cases. Back off the tightness. So, like I said before, for me, I personally prefer the tightness lower. So now, if I go over to a distortion channel, Here's what it sounds like with a little bit of finger-picked stuff. Let's take it off. Back on. So it definitely does something to the tone overall, especially with less gain. I feel like it's way more obvious. So like a crunch or a clean or a push clean, you're going to hear that effect way more. At this point, I'm going to give you my opinion because I think we're near the end of this video. It's only a short video, of course, because the effect is so simple and subtle. What I would say is set like that with the tightness all the way down, so it's as tight as it can be, and the effect, you know, depends where you want it alongside the dry. You can back it off a little bit if you choose to, but my opinion is that it sounds best with high gain for riffs and chords, like riff rock and high gain metal stuff, set as tight as possible. I don't think it works really well with lead, and I don't think it works really well with clean or push clean tones. It's more just about widening and thickening your guitar riffs in a heavy or rock or, you know, that kind of setting. For me personally, that's what I think it excels in. If you want that kind of effect, which is why I use it for all the riffy stuff in Toska, because it just gives you that extra little bit of width. Sounds a bit like a double tracked guitar sound, which is nice. In a live application, you're like, that sounds like extra production value, so I like that. I don't think you should ever record with something like this. Even on a live recording, I would turn it off because I want my guitar sounds to be in phase. It's just that in a live application, when you're watching a band, it's not that it's not an issue, it's just less of an issue. As long as you can hear the guitar, it sounds good, and it's, you know, that's cool. And according to my sound engineer, James, he thinks, you know, fair play, it actually does kind of work for the fatter riffs and stuff, and he'd be a stickler for phase, of course, being a sound engineer. But yeah, other than that, I'd say at 29 quid, if you pick one up and you think, yeah, for all my riffs in the band, that actually does work, it's thickened things out, I'm a single guitar player, and it's just, you know, widening things, then yeah, I'd say it's worth a punt. At £29, I think that's pretty fair to say it's really not that much money to see if you like the effect. Pick one up at Andertons. I think that price is exclusive through Andertons. If you want the full stereo version, I think it's about £89, but it allows you to use it in a stereo rig. Essentially, it's that, but stereo with an overdub switch, so you can have 1 to 2 to 3 overdubs. Whereas I think on this, the tightness kind of does that for you. It adds as you go round. But yeah, that would be the video. So a quick one, but just to let you guys know that that is on a deal at Andertons, and if you think that effect's going to be useful for you, or you're just curious, £29. I'll put a link in the description box below. But yeah, hope you found this video useful. Let me know what you think in the comments section. Like, subscribe and share. Thanks to Andertons for sending this over. I've been Rabea, and I will see you all very soon.